Remember impact font over silly cats or the eternally distracted boyfriend? How about a smug doge or the relatable pain of a wojak? From simple jokes to powerful statements, internet memes have evolved. But how did these digital tidbits go from funny pictures to potent tools of cultural and political expression across generations? And why did it take a generation raised on a diet of pure, unfiltered internet to unlock their true power? If you've ever laughed at a meme, you shouldn't have hit like. If you're ready to trace the surprising history of digital humor, subscribe to GENSHIFT. We're decoding the viral world. The dawn of memes, simple jokes for a simpler internet. Our story begins in the digital Wild West of the early 2000s. The internet wasn't in our pockets yet. It was a destination, a noisy, chaotic playground accessed through dial-up modems and clunky desktop towers. And in this primordial soup of forums and image boards, the first digital life forms of a new language began to crawl ashore. This was the era of the early millennial pioneers, and they were building the rules of internet humor from scratch. Before we go further, we have to talk about the word itself, meme. It wasn't born on the internet. In 1976, evolutionary biologist Richard Dawkins coined the term in his book, The Selfish Gene. He described a meme as a unit of cultural transmission, an idea, tune, or catchphrase that replicates and evolves, passing from brain to brain much like a gene. But internet memes as they emerged were different. Dawkins himself noted that unlike genes which mutate randomly, internet memes are altered deliberately by human creativity. And that deliberate alteration, that's the joke. The earliest examples were beautifully, wonderfully crude. Take lolcats. Around 2005 on the anonymous image board, 4chan users started slapping captions on pictures of cats. The aesthetic was unmistakable. A fuzzy photo often poorly lit with bold white impact font text written in a broken English dialect called lol speak. A cat staring into the camera might declare, "Icon has cheeseburger." This wasn't just a typo. It was a shared language and inside joke that signaled you were part of this nascent online culture. These image macros, as they were called, spread from the anarchic ephemeral boards of 4chan, where content had to be constantly reposted to survive, to blogs like Icon has cheeseburger, which took the phenomenon mainstream. This was also the era of rage comics. Born from a simple 4-panel 4chan strip in 2008 about the universal frustration of toilet splashback, these comics used a set of standardized, crudely drawn faces to express simple emotions. You had Rage Guy for fury, forever alone, for loneliness, and the infamous troll face. A grinning caricature originally drawn to mock internet trolls that was ironically adopted by trolls themselves as their universal symbol. These weren't high art. They were a visual shorthand, a form of digital folklore for a community that was more interested in the collective joke than in individual identity. This was humor born from anonymity, a shared language for a simpler, weirder internet. The rise of relatability and standardization, Facebook and early Instagram. As the 2000s gave way to the 2010s, the internet changed. It was no longer just a niche playground, it became the town square. With the explosion of social media platforms, like Facebook and later Instagram, memes migrated from the shadowy corners of forums into the bright algorithmic light of our social feeds. This was the era when memes became mainstream, and to do so, they had to become relatable. This shift was driven by technology and platform design. Facebook and early Instagram were built around persistent public identities, not anonymity. The currency wasn't the cleverest in-joke, but the most shareable content. The share button became king, and for a post to be shared widely, it needed to resonate with your aunt, your college roommate, and your boss. This environment, combined with the rise of mobile internet and easy-to-use meme generator websites, led to the standardization of meme formats. The classic image macro, a recognizable image with top and bottom text, became the dominant template, a simple, reproducible formula for expressing a shared feeling. This era gave us some of the most iconic memes in history. Think of Distracted Boyfriend, the 2015 stock photo that became a viral sensation in 2017. Its genius lies in its simplicity as an object labeling meme. The man is you. His girlfriend is your responsibilities. The woman in red is procrastinating on YouTube. It's endlessly versatile. Or consider Doge the Shiba Inu named Kabosu, whose sidelong glance surrounded by colorful Comic Sans text in broken English, so noble, much respect, very wow, perfectly captured a specific wholesome kind of awe. Then you have Success Kid, a photo of a baby clenching a fistful of sand repurposed to celebrate small everyday victories. And Condescending Wonka, a still of Gene Wilder used to deliver deliciously patronizing sarcasm. This was the golden age of millennial humor. Having grown up with the internet but now facing the realities of work debt and adult life, millennials used memes to voice their collective struggles. The humor was deeply self-deprecating and rooted in shared experiences. Sharing a meme about anxiety student loans or the pain of assembling IKEA furniture was a powerful act of social bonding. It was a way of saying, "I'm not the only one feeling this," creating connection and validation through a shared digital language. Memes had become a universal coping mechanism. But as they became safer, more polished, and even used in corporate advertising, they lost some of their chaotic, subversive edge. And a new generation raised entirely in the shadow of the algorithm was about to react by breaking the mold completely. From Icon Has Cheeseburger to Corn Kid, memes have shaped our digital lives, but which era's humor truly speaks your language? Drop your favorite meme format from any era in the comments. Bonus points if it involves frog skeletons or a deeply relatable existential crisis. Gen Z's acceleration and absurdity. TikTok and beyond. If millennial memes were about finding common ground in a mainstream internet, Gen Z memes are about finding meaning in a world of digital chaos. Coming of age in the late 2010s and early 2020s, Gen Z inherited an internet that was no longer a place you visited, but a reality you inhabited. This is the first terminally online generation, and their humor reflects a lifetime of navigating algorithmic feeds, information overload, and perpetual crisis. The biggest catalyst for this shift was TikTok. Its design, a relentless, algorithmically curated For You page of short-form videos built around sound, fundamentally changed the DNA of a meme. Memes were no longer primarily static images. They became participatory audio-visual trends that could rise and fall in a matter of days. A key innovation was the viral sound. A snippet of a song, a line from a movie, or a random user's audio could be detached from its original context and become a template for millions of videos. Think of Corn Kid, whose earnest interview about his love for corn became a viral sound used to express pure, simple joy about anything and everything. The meme wasn't the video, it was the audio itself. This new ecosystem gave rise to a humor that was faster, more layered, and profoundly weird. Gen Z humor thrives on surrealism and meta-irony jokes that are so layered with in-references that they're often incomprehensible to outsiders. This includes deep-fried memes, where images are intentionally distorted with filters to mimic the decay of being screenshotted and reposted thousands of times, making the pixelated crudeness part of the joke. It also includes corecore, an aesthetic that isn't humorous at all, but rather a chaotic montage of seemingly random clips from movies, news reports, and other memes set to somber music to evoke the specific feeling of anxiety and alienation that comes from endless scrolling or doom scrolling. Psychologically, this humor is a direct response to the world Gen Z grew up in. For a generation facing economic precarity, political polarization, and climate catastrophe, absurdism and nihilism aren't just jokes. They are, as some scholars suggest, rational coping mechanisms for a world that feels increasingly nonsensical. The humor is often about the act of memeing itself, a self-aware nod to the bizarre nature of online life. This rapid, context-collapsed, and often opaque humor serves another purpose. It's a defense mechanism against the cringe culture of the previous era. By making their jokes difficult for older generations and brands to understand and co-opt, Gen Z preserves the subcultural capital of their humor, ensuring that by the time you get the joke, they've already moved on. Memes as cultural and political commentary, the satirical edge. As memes evolved from simple pictures into a complex, layered language, it was inevitable that they would be aimed at one of humanity's oldest targets: power. The same features that make memes perfect for jokes, their speed, shareability, and ability to create an in-group, also make them incredibly potent tools for political and cultural commentary. The mechanism is simple but effective. Humor acts as a Trojan horse. A funny image or a witty caption can disarm an audience, making a sharp political critique feel less like a lecture and more like a shared joke. This allows subversive ideas to spread rapidly through social networks, bypassing the traditional gatekeepers of news and media. A meme can deliver a political punchline to millions before a newspaper editorial has even been written. Academic studies have shown that this process is highly effective. Political memes create a powerful emotional connection with audiences, especially when they confirm pre-existing beliefs. The quintessential example of this is "Okay, Boomer." The phrase had been floating around on sites like 4chan and Reddit for years, but it exploded into the mainstream in 2019 after a TikTok video of an older man ranting about younger generations went viral. "Okay, Boomer" became the default response. It was more than just a snappy comeback. It was a concise, powerful dismissal of a worldview that younger generations felt was responsible for issues like climate inaction, economic inequality, and social conservatism. It was a declaration that the conversation had changed. When New Zealand politician Clu Swarbrick used the phrase in Parliament, it was clear the meme had transcended internet humor to become a legitimate tool of political rhetoric. While every generation has used satire, Gen Z weaponized memes for activism because it's their native tongue. They are in effect a decentralized global network of political cartoonists, shaping public discourse one viral image at a time. However, this power has a dark side. The same emotional resonance and in-group signaling that make memes effective can also fuel polarization. Research from a panel study in Hong Kong found that increased political meme use was linked to higher levels of political intolerance. The very tools that build solidarity within a movement can harden the lines against those outside of it, blurring the line between critique and division. Memes to movements. Viral action and collective identity. We've arrived at the final stage of the meme's evolution, its transformation from a digital artifact into a real-world catalyst. Today, memes don't just comment on social movements, they actively build them. They are the scaffolding upon which modern protests are constructed, fostering collective identity, mobilizing action, and turning online chatter into offline impact. How does a joke become a revolution's social movement? Scholars describe concepts like collective action frames, where complex ideas are packaged into simple, resonant messages that encourage group action. Memes are the ultimate collective action frames for the digital age. They are a form of modern, digital folklore, anonymous, community-driven artifacts that transmit a movement's core values and stories. Sharing a protest meme is more than just sharing a picture. It's a declaration of allegiance, an act that builds solidarity and reinforces a shared identity. For many, sharing a meme is a low-barrier entry point to activism, an easy first step that can lead to deeper engagement and real-world participation. The 2019-2020 Hong Kong protests were a masterclass in memetic warfare. Protesters used the online forum LHKG to coordinate and spread memes that mocked the authorities and built morale. They created physical Lenin walls covered in protest art and memes, blending the digital and physical worlds. Most famously, they took Pepe the Frog, a character co-opted by the alt-right in the West, and reclaimed it as a symbol of their fight for freedom and democracy, a sophisticated act of cultural appropriation that demonstrated a deep understanding of memetic power. Similarly, during the global Black Lives Matter, protests in 2020 memes were essential for disseminating information about systemic racism and police brutality, often reaching audiences that traditional media could not. These memes serve to educate, build solidarity, and sustain the movement's momentum on a global scale. For Gen Z, this hybrid activism is second nature. Posting a meme, organizing on Discord, and marching in the streets are not separate activities. They are all part of the same fluid, interconnected process of making their voices heard. Conclusion and recap. So what have we learned? We've traced the incredible journey of the meme from the primordial soup of 4chan, where early millennials forged a crude, absurd language of their own with LOL cats and rage comics. We saw how those jokes were polished and standardized for the mainstream, becoming the relatable currency of Facebook in the mid-2010s. And then we witnessed how Gen Z, armed with TikTok and a deep-seated cynicism, shattered those conventions, creating a humor that is faster, weirder, and more politically charged than ever before. Memes, once dismissed as mere internet silliness, have truly evolved into a sophisticated form of communication, reflecting the collective unconscious and acting as a powerful voice for a generation. For Gen Z, memes aren't just for laughter, they are a language of identity, a coping mechanism, and a catalyst for change. The internet's deepest inside joke has truly gone viral, rewriting the rules of humor communication and even activism one absurd image at a time. If this episode made you appreciate memes even more, like and subscribe and tag the friend who communicates exclusively through memes. Let's keep decoding the internet together.